Good evening and welcome to the September 9th, 2024 meeting of the Barnstable Planning Board here at Barnstable Town Hall, 367 Main Street, Hyannis, Mass. In the James H. Crocker Jr. Hearing Room, located here on the second floor. It is 7 p.m. The meeting notice has been previously filed with the town clerk in accordance with Mass General Law. All application materials may be accessed through the Planning Board website or by contacting Karen Pina at karen.pina@town.barnstable.ma.us or calling 508-862-4064. And a notice of recording this meeting will be televised live via Xfinity Channel 8 or High Definition Channel 1072. It may also be accessed via the Government Access Channel live stream on the Town of Barnstable's website. That's streaming85.townofbarnstable.us/cablecast public site. And I will now call the meeting to order and introduce our board members and staff, starting with Mary.
Good evening, Mary Barry.
And Ray.
Good evening, Ray Sexton.
And Bob.
Good evening, Bob Twist.
And Tim.
Good evening, Tim O'Neill.
And Jim.
Good evening, Jim Cupford, Director of Planning.
And Karen.
Good evening, Karen Pina, Admin Assistant, Planning and Development.
And my name is Steve Robichaud. Public comment. This is for any introductory public comment not related to the agenda this evening. If anybody would like to make public comment, please come forward at this time. Seeing none, we will continue to our first item this evening. Mary, if you could take that for us.
Certainly. The first item is an approval. I was going to read that from the screen, Jim. That's okay. I got my paper. I'm good. Approval not required, which is the CIH Holdings LLC has submitted an approval not required plan entitled Two-Lot A&R Plan, which is at 420 Main Street in the village of Hyannis in the town of Barnstable, Barnstable County, state of Massachusetts, located in the Hyannis Fire District. Owner is the CIH Holdings LLC at 14 Main Street, Hyannis, 02601. This is dated August 4th, 2024, from approval, for approval at this meeting.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And this is not a public hearing. It does not need to be open or closed. Appears we have the applicant with us this evening. If you could just state your name for the record. Thank you.
It's Patrick Nickerson from the Law Office of John Kenny in Centerville on behalf of CIH Holdings. And thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Board. We have submitted an approval not required plan. As you can see on the plan, we're proposing to divide the property, which has been developed with commercial buildings, into two lots. The shared boundary line will run down a party wall separating the two buildings. As a net result, 428, 426, and 424 Main Street will be comprised of Lot 1, and 422, 420 Main Street will be comprised of Lot 2. Each lots have the requisite frontage under the DMS zoning district, and they have a vital access through Main Street, which is a paved public way. So we believe your approval may be warranted as an approval not required plan under the bylaw. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Jim, do you have any additional comments to add?
No, the applicant summed it up well. I think the only thing to add here is it's a rather unique zoning district. We don't get a lot from the downtown Main Street. The uniqueness of the lot is the requirement of 30 linear feet of width, which the applicant has provided for both lots. That's all.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, certainly unique. I haven't seen one on Main Street before, or one with this appearance, but it does seem to be in order. Board, any questions? Mary?
None for me, thanks.
Ray?
None for me, thank you.
Thank you. Bob?
I'm good, thanks.
Tim?
No questions.
And I am also all set. So thank you very much. And do we have a motion, Mary?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion for endorsement of two-lot A&R Plan 420 Main Street, Village of Hyannis, Town of Barnstable, prepared by CIH Holding LLC, prepared by Circumspect Land Surveying, dated August 4th, as an approval not required with the following findings, with the two following findings. It does not constitute a subdivision because each of the lots have a minimum required frontage of an existing way having suitable grades and adequate construction to provide the needs of vehicle traffic in relation to the proposed use for the installation of municipal services to serve as a use or has been labeled as non-buildable, and number 2, all materials and conditions of Chapter 801, Article 4, approval not required plans have been submitted and are fully compliant.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Mary. And do we have a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Bob. A second from Bob. And all those in favor? Mary?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And myself, Steve Robichaud, votes aye. The matter passes. Thank you very much. Moving on to our next agenda item this evening, we have a subdivision. Ray, if you can take this one.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Peter and Patty Ann Farrar have submitted a request for Form G covenant release for 134 Strawberry Hill Road, Lot 2, subdivision number 333.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Jim, if you could give us an overview and some background on this one.
Absolutely. So what you have before you this evening is a release of lot request, so our typical Form G covenant release for the address at 134 Strawberry Hill Road. This is from an older subdivision, as noted, subdivision 333, dating back to the early 70s. The property currently has a home on it and has had a home on it for over 50 years. So it's unique in that we typically don't have a request for covenant release on a property that already has a home on it. Typical process is a standard subdivision is constructed, and as the lots are being developed, prior to building permit, developer would come in and request that release for lot. Here, that action appears to have not been achieved, and so the closing attorney, so this property, I believe, is being transferred. The closing attorney noted in their title search that they could not uncover the release of lot. We, in turn, looked through our files, also could not find one. Potentially, a couple matters could have happened. They either simply failed to request that release of lot at that time, or one was just simply not recorded at the time. Nevertheless, we went through the process, as we typically do, of requesting any outstanding issues from other departments for this release of lot. No issues arose in reviewing the release for lot for that subdivision. It's a completed subdivision from a long time ago. So the recommendation from our office is simply to vote in favor of releasing the covenant so that it can go on record.
Thank you for that. Certainly another kind of unique one from all the way back from 1973. And obviously, it does not look like there would be any reason not to release this covenant. Jim, just one quick question. No findings or conditions. It's just a simply move to release covenant for 134 Strawberry Hill Road. Just
That
simple.
would be our recommendation, yes.
Okay. All right. Just a simple motion. Any questions, comments on this one, Mary?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Ray?
I think you asked the question. This is basically housekeeping.
Yeah, it's what we can tell a replacement of what should have been a release from the 70s.
Okay. Thanks, Jim.
Bob?
I'm
anything?
good, thanks.
Okay. Tim?
All set.
Okay. Great. I look for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to release the covenant for 134 Strawberry Hill Road, Centerville Subdivision 333.
Excellent. Thank you. In a second.
This is Tim, I'll second.
Thank you, Tim. All those in favor? Mary?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And myself, Steve Robichaud, votes aye. That matter passes. Thank you so much. And moving on to discussion of a potential modification of a regulatory agreement. Bob?
Thank you. S&C Realty Investment, COI LLC, have submitted a request for a minor modification of regulatory agreement number 2022-001, 442 Main Street, Hyannis. The subject property is zoned downtown Main Street District, DSM. The total lot area is approximately .81 acres. This is not a public hearing. It does not need to be voted to open.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And do we have the applicant here to discuss this? Welcome again.
Thank you again. Mr. Chairman, members of the planning board, for the record, again, my name is Patrick Nickerson, attorney from the Law Office of John W. Kenny, and tonight representing S&Z Realty Investment Co. LLC. We're seeking what we hope you will find to be two minor changes to the regulatory agreement that has been approved. We're simply looking to add one dumpster to accept recyclable materials and also to change the bedroom configurations. Now, what had been approved previously were 3 one-bedroom units and 2 two-bedroom units. The proposed amendment is to have 2 one-bedroom units and 3 two-bedroom units. So essentially, we're looking to increase the net amount of bedrooms by 1, but keeping the same number of residential units that were approved. We have submitted a modified second floor plan showing the new configuration, as well as a modified site plan and grading utilities plan to show the location of the second dumpster, which is immediately adjacent to the proposed dumpster. There are no changes to the number of parking spaces that were approved, and there are also no changes in the number of landscaping plants or species of plants. There was sufficient room for the addition of the second dumpster. Similarly, there's no additional square footage being constructed on the second floor. It's just a reconfiguration to allow for the additional bedroom. So I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Great, thank you so much. And just to, Jim, just to remind the board, so if somebody seeks to modify a regulatory agreement, a minor amendment to that regulatory agreement can be approved by the town manager. However, a major regulatory agreement modification would come to our board for a public hearing. And I guess the key distinction is whether or not that modification is deemed substantial by this board. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. So you're absolutely correct. You have 2 options really here before you. The proposal is either a minor amendment or there is a substantial change, and therefore that amendment is what you would typically consider major. And if it's major, it would go through the public hearing process over. So it would go to planning board and to council. Minor amendment is one that does not alter the use, intensity, or mitigation stipulations of the regulatory agreement. And so when having a conversation with the applicant, I thought it was clear that the use does not change, the mitigation stipulations do not change, and really, I put it to the board whether or not the intensity of the agreement has changed. And if you felt that it has changed to a degree that it would rise to a substantial amendment, then it would have to go through the full process. If not, if you believe it's a minor amendment, then just simply a motion this evening defining that could move this to the town manager for signature.
Great, thank you for that. So obviously, I think it's clear that the use and mitigation are not changing. I think it just comes down to whether or not kind of the intensity of the agreement is changing. For me, we're talking one more bedroom with the same amount of units. If the number of units were changing, for me, I think I would consider that to possibly be a change in intensity, but with the same amount of units and just one more bedroom, it's not something that I would consider to be major. And adding the dumpster also, to me, seems quite minor. What do we think? Mary, what are your thoughts?
I agree. I believe this is a minor amendment.
Okay, Ray?
Actually, I just would like to be a little more educated in that, and the term intensity is something, I used the term intensity for 37 years in the Department of Defense, and it had nothing to do with planning.
So I can speak to that a little bit. So there's no definition in the regulatory agreement ordinance, but however, when we're discussing intensity of a use or a standard, it's typically that increase to a degree. So you're increasing either the impact or the use or certain stipulations to a degree that it would be greater than what was originally adhered to. So the spirit of the agreement was intensified, meaning so it's increased in their impacts, essentially, is I would say what we would consider, to alter the intensity of the use.
So essentially, that means one bedroom's worth would be the increase in intensity.
That's what you're considering here, whether that one bedroom is a significant increase to the intensity.
And
You
to
gotta
that,
watch out what's going on in that extra bedroom, that's all I'm saying.
to that point, I would just remind the board that this regulatory agreement was entered into in 2022, and since then, the substantial zoning amendments for downtown Hyannis have changed, specifically relaxing certain parking standards that were in effect in 2022, but that are no longer in effect today. So as far as considering the intensity increase of the bedroom, which I would grant you is that there is some increase, and it's certainly not equal. There must be some increase in intensity, but not to a meaningful extent where there's no additional parking required and that no additional units are being added. Under the new ordinance, I believe actually no parking is required for food and beverage service, which is going to be the first floor use of this property as a Dunkin' Donuts. So we have provided, with 33 parking spaces, are a very healthy amount when we're really just considering the parking demand for 5 residential units.
Got it. Thank you. Ray, anything else?
I just, because, Mr. Chairman, with your indulgence, I did ask Jim, and I was disappointed to hear that there are no affordable units identified, and I'm not
right.
sure that's something that's really important. I know it's relatively small, but not sure how you snuck that one by me. Maybe I wasn't there.
Yeah, you might not have been here.
Might have been on the board yet. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Bob, anything?
I'm good, thanks.
Tim?
No questions.
Okay. With that, we would look for a motion on this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that we enter a finding that the amendments proposed by S&C Realty Investment qualify as a minor amendment and may proceed to the town manager for consideration.
Excellent. Thank you for that. A second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mary. All those in favor? Mary?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And myself, Steve Ropeshot, votes aye. Matter passes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. General correspondence, we have a Chapter 91 notice from McAuliffe, 82 Turn Lane, to maintain boathouse and pier. Karen, there was no general, no additional correspondence? Yep, okay. And Jim, a staff update.
Yeah, real quick. So the LCPC is meeting again on this Thursday evening to continue the discussion on the future land use map for the local comprehensive plan. We had a robust discussion 2 weeks ago, and hopefully we'll continue that discussion. Moving forward from there, the next steps will be to start developing out the action plan and prioritizing those actions to get to a whole plan that we can put back out to the public and have discussions on hopefully this winter. Beyond the LCPC, we've been actively engaged with the subcommittee for regulatory agreements and zoning, and currently we're discussing we started with the discussion of exempt uses, and we've continued the discussion on the downtown Hyannis zoning, just really starting that discussion. So certainly more to come. They meet again, not this Friday, but next Friday. In addition, we are actively discussing housing with our housing subcommittee, and we are presenting on the housing bond bill at the next meeting. And the impacts that it has with the town of Barnstable, and hopefully having discussions with that same subcommittee on the housing production plan soon. Aside from that, I think that's pretty much it for the moment.
Excellent. Anything for Jim? Questions, comments? All set? All right. Looking for a motion to approve our draft minutes from August 26, 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of August 26, 2024.
Thank you, Tim. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Bob. All those in favor? Mary?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And myself, Steve Robichaud, votes aye. The minutes are approved. And some upcoming meetings, future meetings, September 23rd, 2024. I believe that's our joint meeting with the Historic Commission. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I just want to touch on that. Yes, joint meeting with the Hyannis Waterfront Historic Commission, Main Street Historic Commission. And you will see, Karen will be sending out a notice soon to both the planning board and the commission and the public that the link to the updated draft track changed regulations and guidelines, unified regulations and guidelines are now on the website. We got those up over the weekend, and you'll see it on the right-hand side of the planning and development under current projects, the draft guidelines for your guys' consideration.
That's great. Looking forward to that. And then October 28th, 2024, 7 PM, I believe that's when we have continued our housing production plan discussion. Looking forward to that as well. Mary?
Yeah, one
Yeah.
question. How are we going to set that up with the Historic Commission and us? Is it going to be in this room?
It will be in this room just like last time. I don't know if you were
Is it-
all around.
Okay, we did it all up
yeah,
here,
and
which is
me
good.
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's ideal. Okay. Yeah, I think it's better than we've had it in the past where they were people were set up down there and up here. It wasn't as convenient. So
Yeah.
it's good. Okay.
I think
Great.
it'll work nice. There's definitely plenty of space.
Yep.
We'll make it work, and I believe that will be the first item on the agenda, and then both boards kind of close, and then if we have anything on our own agenda, we'll forge ahead on our own.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Which I think Jim is going to try and keep that light
Yeah.
if possible. Okay, anything else before we look to adjourn?
I am also traveling for work on the 28th.
Okay.
So I won't be here.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll send a note, though,
Okay,
to confirm.
noted. Anything else? If not, we'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Bob, in a second.
Second.
Thank you, Ray. All those in favor, Mary?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And myself, Steve Robichaud, votes aye. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.